try and move along here. In terms of how does the stroke affect you, I can say overall about 10% of the people who have strokes really have a rapid recovery, no residual. And about another 25% have fairly minor, not real bad problems, and so about 35% of patients who have strokes have a almost essentially complete recovery. You have about 40% of people who have strokes who have moderate to severe disability, and that's the ones we deal with more than ever. And then another about 10% will have to probably go to an extended care facility, and about 15% will die. So that's kind of the where it is now, so that you can figure about 70% of the patients, if they get into an acute rehab center, are going to have a much better recovery. So some of the things that affect a stroke that you are not even aware of, and particularly it is in an older age group that we see most of the strokes. And the hemorrhagic stroke, like Catherine had, as we mentioned, it's either a ischemic, a blood clot, or you can do, like in her case, you could have an aneurysm, or what we call a AV malformation, where there's a bleed. Now, where there's a bleed, obviously they have to know that. They'll do a CT scan, make sure you don't have a bleed. If that's the case, then you'd be eligible for the TPA, which is the clot buster. Or you might be eligible for something where an interventional person can actually snake a little catheter, like doing an open heart, a stent. They can actually thread a catheter up into the brain and snag that clot. We've had, in fact, the very first patient that they did that at the University of Louisville had a complete recovery. She was completely out on one side. She had retrieval of that clot, and total recovery. So it's really amazing, and why you have to really get to the facility that can do that quickly. What are kinds of things that happen that make you have more difficulty, or if you have pre-existing medical problems. And many people have already problems with sleep, have sleep apnea, they have high blood pressure, cardiovascular problems, diabetes. All of those things make risk for stroke greater. So those, probably 80% of strokes could be prevented by good health care. And people are a lot more aware of health care now than they were. Water, only water. Certainly smoking, alcohol, drugs, all those things are definitely put you at risk. So this is an acute rehab facility. Like I say, about 20% of the patients will come to an acute rehab center. We also have a subacute unit here that is mostly, for our case, geared to people with total knees, things like that, because we have a very short stay. Whereas subacute might be a nursing home with a rehab facility. And there you can stay for a longer period of time. Home care, getting skilled care in the home, and of course outpatient would be very important. So as I said, the earlier the better. You have a 25% chance probably of getting a more rapid recovery if you can get to an acute rehab center early and get that care. So the things you have to have are patience, perseverance, ingenuity, and creativity. As all of you have found, we have one stroke survivor back here. It'd be hard to pick him out because he wears a very unobtrusive hat. And this young man was just telling me, he's one of our stroke recovery patients who just returned to golf. And not only returned to golf, but he, well, how much over par were you?
I shot 176 6 years ago when I first started playing, 4 years ago. That was 6 years after my stroke. I didn't think I'd ever get back to 10 over par again.
Yeah.
But
Then what was
last
your
week I shot 5 over par.
5 over par? So don't ever say it can't be done.
It can be done, trust me.
Yeah.
That lady that you had speaking here spoke here 10 years ago when I was in the hospital.
Really?
And she is one of the ladies that inspired me. And there was another one here who was 92, who had had a stroke. And I talked with her, and she said, Mr. Seward, your stroke was just like mine when I was 62 years old. I lost my whole left side. I didn't think I'd ever get it back, and she was walking. You couldn't tell she had a stroke. And her inspiration